Watcher, welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Right, today we're going to do an oil change on the van. Now we've got a van that we rag around in. It's just an old Astra van. It's done 116,000 miles and it's just an old van. It doesn't really warrant going to a garage to have an oil change, and as you probably know these days it's about £100 to go to most garages if you're in the UK and get an oil and filter change on your vehicle. They will sell you all kinds of stuff about the environment and that the oil has to be disposed of in the proper way, and they'll make it sound very precious and very safety conscious, but mate, honestly, it's just changing the oil. You drain the oil out, you put the new oil in and you change the filter. It's extremely simple. Now we've got a Vauxhall Astra van. Vehicles will differ, your vehicle will differ, but it's not about the vehicle I want to show you today. It's about the principle of something that we've just invested some pounds in. Obviously it's hard times, none of us can really afford to go to the garage to get the oil changed on a vehicle. You don't really even need a manual if you're going to do it this way. Now what we've done is we've put, how much was it, £45? £45 in this. This is an oil pump. It sucks the oil out through the dipstick tube. Now all engines have a dipstick. All engines have a dipstick tube. Now it's a great deal more grief to get under the vehicle, take the sump plug out. Most sump plugs on modern vehicles are quite buried under shields and all sorts of environmental catch the drips kind of shields. You've got to take them down out of the way. You've got to jack the vehicle up safely so it doesn't land on your head, and then ultimately you've got to get rid of all that stuff once it's in a big cat litter tray. It's a bit of a nightmare, so it's a far easier way. It is controversial because some people don't like it. They think that it's not going to get all the oil out, it doesn't get all the particles out, but we'll come to that in a minute. You have to warm the engine up first. You slide the tube down into the dipstick hole all the way to the bottom and you suck the oil out. And if you think that's not very cool, if you think that's not very professional, and you believe it, garages are doing it now. Garages charge by the hour normally, but with servicing now they do set price servicing. So any of your car garages that do a set price service, they'll be using this method because it's quicker. They just slide the tube down, pump the old oil out and pour the new oil in the top. Simple as that. The quicker they can do it, the more they can farm through the shop in the day, the more money they can make. It's a business at the end of it. So here we are. I'm just going to show you what this is, how it works, see if you want to invest in one. I'm going to use them on the bikes as well. It also saves on a sump plug gasket. It saves on the potential danger of mincing your sump plug, crossing the thread, or finding that it's actually cross-threaded but sealed. You can leave it in there, not a problem. So if you find a sump plug that's a bit minced and you're not sure about it, just leave it alone. Use this method. So stick around and stay tuned. Let's see what this is and I'll show you how we do it quickly. Okay. What's in the box? What's in the box? Okay, you get a load of bits and bobs. So let's clear the bench a bit. Gaskets out of the way. You get a filter, which you need. In this instance I need a 32mm socket to get the filter housing undone. And then you get all the bits and pieces for this pump. Now once you've invested in this, you can do your own oil changing at home. It really isn't difficult. There we go.
It's like a big kettle.
Yeah, you want the tea that comes out of that there, would you?
No.
Right, box out of the way. Okay, so simple set of instructions how to rig it up. So you can follow those. I'm not going to go through it and it's not going to be a how-to. All I'm trying to sell you today is the principle of this. Just buying yourself something like this. You can buy all manner of different products. This is a 6-litre one and there's no oil I know, or no engine I know of. Certainly unless it's a big block V8 that uses more than 6 litres of oil. And if it does, then just empty it halfway. Duh. It ain't hard, is it? So I'm going to follow the instructions. I'm going to put this together, put this little kettle into place, and then I'll get it ready so we can suck the oil out of the van. Okay, now if any of you have ever had those things where you pump up a canister with pressure and you've got soapy water in and you rinse your car off with it, you know, we've all seen those, or you can water your garden with them. It's like a pre-pressurizable container. This works in the other way. So there's your container. You get a simple stirrup pump, and on the top you just get a push fit. These are just push fit, rubber fit, little rubber joints. Push that in there and that works that way. There's a little cap there, and all you do, another push fit with your hose. That goes down your dipstick hole. Now, giving that a bang backs and forwards, if you feel in there, that's got the same lining as your speedo cable. That's got a metal spring all the way up the inside of that plastic, so it's going to be a nice flexible tube, and it's going to find its way down to the bottom of the sump, and then you've got a clear tube involved so you can see what you're doing. And all you then do, that makes vacuum. Now when you're finished, the beauty of it is you take that off, you then put that cap on, then you take your container of sump oil to the local recycling tip, and we are responsible in this, aren't we, Pen?
We do go down there.
You've got to be a complete frigging muppet to throw it in the drain. You want to be, you know, prosecuted if you do that, because that's disgraceful. Remember, what goes in the drain comes back through the drinking tap in a few months. So it must go to the proper approved place. If all else fails, take it to your local car garage and say to them, look, can I get rid of this? Can you give them a couple of pounds, and they'll stick it in their big tank. And all you do when you get to the said place, take that off, put the spout on, like a little kettle, as Penny said, and you just pour it into their big massive tank. Also, if you've got an oil burner, so you can buy sump oil burners to heat your garage and stuff like that. So anyway, there you go. Let's get the van warmed up. Let's get all this put back together. Let's change the oil. Right, first thing, warm the old girl up. That loosens all the oil. Click. In about 5 minutes, let it warm up, and all the carbon get mixed in with the oil, so it's ready to come out in one load. So join us again in 5 minutes. And get stuck out. Right. Okay. It is as simple as this. Grab your pump. Steer it on top. This is a push bit. And all you do is down your dipstick hole. The tube. Now remember, your dipstick, that's the top of it. So that's where you reach the oil level. There. Then we've got another, what's that, 6 inches? There. That's the bottom of the sump. So about 3 inches below the top of the level of the oil. And that's as far as that goes. And how we do? Just looking for it in the tube there. And it will build up suction and start to suck that oil out. There it comes. Now obviously, there it comes. It's quite slow, but remember, you'll know from your book, from your handbook, how many litres of oil your vehicle contains. And this is a 6 litre container. Each of these ridges is a litre, so you'll know when you've got it all out, pretty much.
There it goes.
There it goes. And all you do, just give it a pump every now and again, just to replace that vacuum as the oil comes in. There it is. Now it's just a case of waiting.
Cup of tea time.
Cup of tea. Come on, cup of tea. You. Right, while that's draining out, I'm just going to change the filter as well. This is just £3. That's all that cost. Really isn't expensive. A couple of O-rings. And just, obviously with oil changes and stuff, try and work safe. Just put that there. And a clean surface. A couple of little O-rings. There we go. Right. Now, this really isn't a how-to on an Astra van, because you might have a different vehicle. This is all about that pump. But this is my oil filter, happens to live there. There it is. It's just a very convenient location and method on this particular vehicle, but yours may be different. Now, carefully does it, because it's under this particular vehicle, it's under spring load. And there it is. Now, upside down as much as you can. And that's the old one we do. It pulls off there. And safely out of the way. And then that can be, this will get recycled with the oil. There's a space for them to be put. Right, there's a little O-ring on there, and that's that one, and there's one on there, which is that one. Now I know I'm going to get told off not wearing gloves, especially on diesel oil, but just wash it off. It's perfectly okay as long as you wash it off after. And the new seals in place. There we go. That's it. Bit of the old oil around them, and the filter goes on. Like so. That's it. And finally, there is also, always make sure you replace the O-rings, even though it may be tempting to use the old ones. It's not worth it. You get free in the old packet anyway. So just pop a new one on. Now with diesels, obviously any of you who run diesels already know that the oil in a diesel gets black within about 5 minutes. You could put beautiful clean oil in it, you could purge it, clean the engine, you could even put a brand new diesel engine, doesn't matter. The minute that soot from the burning of the diesel gets onto the side of the bores and down into the oil, it's going to blacken up your oil. It's not an issue, it's just normal. Now this is a plastic cap, and it is quite a squeeze fit. Feels like it's cross-threaded, but it's not. Very sort of hard nylon plastic, and when it bottoms, literally, okay, there is a torque setting, it's about 11 newtons, but all I do, as soon as it bottoms, you feel it. The pressure seal is in the side, it's not in the amount of screw-inness you have. So as soon as it bottoms, I just put like that. That's it. Done. Don't overdo it, because you will split it. Right, now listening. That noise obviously is like the milkshake with a straw noise when you get to the bottom. Hear it? There we are. We're now dribbling out the dregs. That's it. Now anybody who thinks, there have been some people saying that this doesn't get all the oil out, it doesn't get all of the bits out the bottom. Well, as long as you start the engine and those bits are then suspended in the oil and you quickly start this process, you're getting the most of them. And believe me, if you think that by draining the sump plug out you're getting all the bits out, you're mistaken. You're not. Not unless you take the sump tray off and wash it, because there's always going to be stuff stuck to it. There's just that surface tension of oil. I would say if you drained out the oil and left it overnight, put the plug back in, take the tray off, you'll still get a tablespoon of oil off the surface. So don't worry too much about it. Don't overthink it. Just give that one more. There we are. As you build up the vacuum, there it is again. And that's it. And that's sucking inwards now. Okay. Swipe the end off, we'll come back to that in a sec. Put the stick back in just for a moment. Now we're going to refill it. Now how much to refill? Well, there's a really handy thing here that is head and shoulders above your tray on the ground, is that you can measure precisely how much you've got out. So with these, each of these ridges is a litre. This is a 6 litre container, so we've got 5 litres and a tiny bit, and this was a little tiny bit overfilled. So that's 5 litres coming out, and I've got a 5 litre pack of oil. So all I've got to do now is put in 4.5 litres, start the engine up, check the oil, and then top it up. So let's get that done. First of all, let's put that in a safe place. Okay, and this is about as easy as you can get. Get your pack of oil, whatever you get. This is not a how-to on changing oil on a Vauxhall Astra. This is just about the general principle of that suction pump thing. Okay, if you're going to tip your oil in, turn it that way on. And it's marked on the side. So I'm just going to whack 4 litres straight in before we go any further. We'll come back in a minute. Right. A bit more of that, and then we'll fire it up. That's it. Right. Put your cap back on. Right, fire it up. About a minute or so, just to fill up the oil filter with oil for that canister which was empty. Now on this engine you can check in your service manual the distance between the lower, coming close, the lower and upper mark is 1 litre or 1 quart. So as long as it's at the bottom of the stick, we know we're in the range. It's going to take a second or so for that oil to settle back down. Not yet. We need a bit more. Okay. Right, we're on the stick now, halfway up. So that takes roughly now a pint, and that will be full. Last tick. Now it's still going to run down. It takes about a minute or two, and it's just under the full mark. So I'll leave that. I'll check it again in the morning. That's it. One oil change done. That's it. Let's go and clear up. Okay, so this really isn't about changing the oil on a Vauxhall Astra or a Chevy Nova or a Fletcher Arrowboat. It doesn't matter what you've got. It's about this suction pump thing. And I'm not promoting the Pella 6000. I just bought the cheapest one. It was £45. You can pay about £75 for the big tall cylinder ones. I just thought I might suggest this thing to you. This would be the sort of thing, even if you were a woman on your own and not wishing to sound sexist there, but you may not want to grope round under the car with sump plugs and cat litter trays and clearing the oil. You may live in a flat, you may not have the ability or the permission to start working on a vehicle outside, but there's nothing wrong with having the bonnet up and pop that thing there. The way it works, it does take its time. That took nearly an hour to get that oil out. It's not a quick thing, but the way the mechanics do it in shops, they'll set the vacuum, because all it is, there's no oil runs through this. That's an air pump and nothing more. That pumps the air out of this and makes it a vacuum void, and that vacuum sucks the oil out. And it doesn't really come out in real time, pump, 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 pump. It's not quite like that. It's not a liquid pump, it's a vacuum suction device, and effectively does take its time. But you set the vacuum up, go and do something else. If you're working on a car, you can set that to go while you're doing all the other stuff. Last thing to do, bottle of white spirit. Obviously you want to take care of your stuff, and all I do, pump up some vacuum again, and then pop it in the white spirit. Now the idea is, you're pulling some of this white spirit through the line. As you can see, that's already started to clean the line out there and get all that sump oil out of the line, because you don't want it staying in there, it could set, make it hard. So I'm going to clean this up and then pour it into the can. And we'll say, here we are, line's nice and clean now. Take the cap off. And all you got to do with this is just store it like anything else that is to do with your equipment. Just store that up. And I'm just going to put that back in the box where it lives when it's ready. And this now, you get a pouring spout. Goes on the end. And all we're going to do is pour that, all of it, very safely, under immense control, straight into the canister it came from. You laughing at?
It's control.
Immense control. You have immense control over it.
You should
Well,
have your high vis on.
Yes. And a hard hat. And some rubber gloves. Oh, no, I'm going to so get it over the rubber gloves. Sump oil is indeed dangerous. In all seriousness now, it is very dangerous. You shouldn't really get it on your skin, and if you do, then wash it off as quick as you can. So I'm going to drain this into here and then use the last little bit of white spirit to rinse this out, and then that canister will get sealed up and ready to be taken to the recycling plant next time we visit. Right, there we go. Now I know we're going to get loads of dislikes for that purely because it's not the purist's way, but there again, if you look underneath your car, I'll bet you can't find the sump plug without lots of digging and taking off stuff, so it is a far easier way. It's a convenience thing. I'm not plugging that particular one, just the principle of them. I use that one. It's a great way to change the oil, completely mess free, and an easy way to do it, far easier than the mechanic's way. And if you want to do that, there is. Here's some information for you. Take it easy, ride safe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.